Daddy gets lost. Daddy gets lost. Daddy gets lost. Munch.
Hello and welcome to another episode, a celebratory episode of Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenge of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me as always is Matthew and the newly engaged Ryan. How you going, guys?
Yeah, doing well, mate. Thanks very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
Not much different. Not much different. Although we did spend all of Sunday brunch today planning this upcoming engagement party. So actually, it just feels like a bit more work.
Well, that's what it's going to be like for the rest of your life. So,
Yep, I've heard that.
I'm being facetious. That's really, really good news. Maddie, how you doing?
I'm good, boys. I'm good. We had Mia's 7th birthday party today, so I was chasing 10 girls around a mini putt-putt golf course this afternoon. So congratulations, Ryan. You've got a lot to look forward to, mate.
Thank you. I can just see my future there, chasing a bunch of kids around many years to come.
You can see some of my history doing that when I was about 18 or 19, but the world turns, it goes a full circle. What we are going to discuss tonight on the back of Ryan's fantastic engagement is, well, engagement stories. We're all engaged or married now, and so I know each of the engagement stories, my own, Matthew's, and Ryan, and I've ordered them on the basis of geographical location to where the person lived at the time. So from, let's be honest, probably worst to best. So with that, I'm leading off because I think I most certainly have the worst engagement story of the three of us. Well, it feels like it's a long time ago now, but it really wasn't that long ago, maybe 6 or so years ago. And it was just on the back of Christmas. It was on Australia Day. And I remember just before that, we went away for Christmas to just down to the beach. And my now wife, my partner at the time, the power went off at about 40 degrees. And so the only way to keep cool was to have way too much to drink because it was the only thing which was cold. So we had a few drinks and just till about sort of 10 o'clock. And she kind of just climbed up onto a little soapbox. She was 29 at the time and said, I want to be X by the time I'm 30. I want to be doing this by the time I'm 30. I want to be married, like get engaged by the time I'm 30. I'm just sitting there just going, well, this is a bit of a diatribe on her not knowing that I actually ordered the wedding ring or the engagement ring already, and I was just waiting for it to arrive. It should have actually been there by Christmas, but because it was the Christmas and New Year period, it didn't arrive until early in January or sort of a couple of weeks into January. So I should have probably already had the engagement ring. She's got on her soapbox going, I want this and I want that. I'm going, can I get a refund on this ring? Is it just a bit much? You might listen to this, my partner, so I definitely did not think that at all. So it gets to a couple of weeks into January and the ring arrives. And basically, as soon as I get it, I just want to get rid of it. And once I get rid of it, I want to give it to her because, it's an exciting thing. Like, I'm getting engaged, we can get married, I've got this ring, it's worth a bit of money. I just don't want to be responsible for it anymore. And again, because we're around Australia Day, so we're meant to be going away for that particular weekend, but we're meant to be staying with her parents, and her and her parents had her mum had a really big blow up. So we're intending to be in a location which is probably like her most favourite place in the whole wide world. We're going to be there for the weekend, and I had every intention of proposing at a special place there. Her and her mum have a blow up. I just really want to, propose. So I ended up just doing it in our house at the time in the lounge room over a seafood platter. So had all these grandiose plans of here, there, and everywhere, but due to circumstances, it ended up being about 5 meters from where we slept. So geographically, quite poor, very close to home.
Seafood platter. Did you, entwine it on a calamari ring or on the end of a prawn or something like that? Something fancy?
No, I can't even.
A little oyster.
Yeah, I can't even say. That I don't even go paid for the. I don't even think I paid for the seafood platter. I think it was a Christmas present voucher that I picked up on the way home. So.
Was there a good bottle of wine with it or something?
There's definitely a good bottle of wine. And I remember asking her dad, he doesn't have great hearing. So in the back room, and the mum and my partner were duking out in the front room a little bit more because they could. And I say to my now father-in-law, listen, trying to be a little bit quiet, but talking in the voice I'm talking in now. Oh, listen, I'd really, is it okay if can I marry Dorian? He goes, what? I go, and I don't know if he meant what, as in he couldn't hear me, or like, are you serious? So I'll listen a little bit louder. Is it okay if I marry your daughter? He's like, oh yeah. No, of course, it's okay. So I didn't quite catch that before. So yeah, it was just one of those things where it was just over a seafood platter at home. So that's my story, and so far so good.
That's a great story. I
Yeah, it is.
don't think any real engagement can be a bad story, and it's those kind of ones that with the intention that you had to what it turned out to be, it's still a story in itself. So, definitely something with the kids when they grow up, and I'm sure your partner's been told what it was meant to be or how you were going to engage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now I can blame.
Yeah.
I always blame my mother-in-law. Oh, it was really her fault that you didn't get the engagement you maybe had in your mind because you had a big blub with her. So not my fault.
Everyone wins.
What about you, Matthew? You were geographically second closest to where you were living at the time.
Yeah, not too far away. Actually, I asked Kim during the week. Right, we've got engagement stories this week on the podcast. Let's get the timeline sorted. And she said, "No, you're on your own with this one. So if I get some stuff incorrect, I'm sure Kane, you can fix it for me. You know the story."
We might do an update next week with a real timeline. But please go on based on your memory.
Based on my memory, we got engaged in 2010, and we'd been going out since 2005. So looking back now, I really don't know why I waited so long, but we did talk about getting engaged quite a fair bit. Probably because we had family. Well, my family was down in Victoria, hers was up in Queensland. So it was always discussions about where we'd probably have it, but that's to the side. We did buy the ring prior to me asking the question. I'm not too sure why we did that. That was probably more on my end, just to make sure I got it right, because I did have a bit of a fear of getting the wrong size or getting a ring that she wouldn't like, because she does have certain tastes, Kim. And being in Victoria with her sisters, I think one was in the UK at the time and the other one was somewhere that I'm not too sure where. But so we went and got the ring first, and then I think we sat on it for quite some time because I didn't want to just get the ring and then, ask the question a week later or, a month later, because that'd just be probably giving it away, but she'd expect something was going to be coming soon. So we did wait a fair while, and I was really strapping my brain on how to, do a fancy proposal. So in the end, I said, look, let's take a Friday off, because we hadn't had a time off for quite some time. And some friends were out, country Victoria. We're going to come into Melbourne. We're going to all have a picnic in Botanical Gardens, and then spend the weekend together. And side note, we lived just in South Bank there, so a short stroll from the Botanical. So come closer to the day, and I told a few people as well that I was going to be doing it, and that's why I was taking the time off work. I did tell Kim that, oh, look, these guys had pulled out from our lunch. We bought all this food. Let's not let it go to waste. We'll go have the lunch anyway, or the picnic in the Botanical. So we get down there, and after lunch, we just had some wine. It was a lovely, beautiful day. Nervous as hell, and I'm sure Ryan will attest to this, and even you can as well. The ring, when you have it on you, all you can do is just keep patting your pocket every, couple of seconds to make sure it's not there. I mean, it's not going anywhere, of course, but just the stress factor was huge. And I was nervous as hell getting down on that one knee and asking the question. I don't know why, because I've been with Kim for 7 years, so I knew what to expect. But yeah, asked the question, and then after that, I'd booked a couple of nights at the Langham. So we hopped over to short stroll of the Langham and spent a couple of nights there, wining and dining, and having a great time. So that's pretty much all I remember. So much has happened since then. It's hard to sort of revisit that.
I particularly like the the illegal drinking in the Botanical Gardens as well as part of your story.
I would have hit it well in a brown paper bag, mate. Don't worry.
That's really nice though. Botanical Gardens. It was a nice day. A couple of nights at Langham afterwards. That's delightful.
Yeah, it was nice to have a good location. I guess you can look back and remember exactly where it was. So.
And
Not that you should forget that anyway.
best part of 10 years later, and yeah, like you say, a lot of things have happened then with regards to both of you going through illness and the kids and a wedding at one of the most tropical locations that I've ever been to a wedding at. And this will, I'm sure, will be another episode when Ryan and his partner put together what their wedding looks like. We might have another episode around that. But it's a lovely little story, Matthew.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And I like that after so long, it was still a surprise element as well. Because I think it's one of those things, no matter when you sort of pop the question, how long into the relationship you are, I do still think there's genuine shock and surprise when, and it's usually the guy asks a girl to get married. There's still genuine sort of shock, surprise, and elation, or they're just excellent actors or actresses, I should say.
And I think there might have been shock here because we did go away with her parents a month or two before that. And I'd always said to Kim, look, I do want to ask your father's permission before I do marry you. And I had casually said to Kim, I'll ask him while we're away. And I didn't get around to it. And I don't know whether or not it was because I was nervous or not. But then after I told Kim that I hadn't, geez, the look of disappointment I got from that. So the next day, like when I'd flown back to Brisbane, I just jumped on the phone and just asked him there and then. So I think, once he thought I hadn't asked him, that it was going to be a long time until I did ask the question. But little did she know, it wasn't too far away.
And how much food was left over after your picnic? You had food for 4.
There was quite a bit, yeah. I do remember that actually. So we did make a quick detour back to the South Bank apartment, drop it in the fridge, then off to the wagon.
Love it. I like that one, Matthew. Ryan, now you're a long way from your usual geographic location, so you clearly went on the geographic location count, and I'm sure on the engagement as well. So, and you're the most recent, so you'll actually be able to remember every detail, unlike Matthew and myself. So, please, Ryan, step forward and provide all your details, because I know my partner is going to ask me, "Oh, what was it all about?" And now I can just go, "Listen to Daddy Eats Last," and you'll find out.
Exactly. Although I must attest to what Matt said, I'm not 100% sure that I can remember all the details because you're very distracted.
But where were you?
Very distracted.
And where were you?
Yeah, so I was on the other side of the world. We were in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands there. So I'll go back to, TK and I have been together 5.5 years now. So I kind of felt that, and we've spoken about a bit, like what I guess Matt and Kim had spoken about, but there'd always be something that sort of got in the way or whatnot. / I think what we're realizing now is that it was very nice to not be engaged because you don't have to then plan all the engagements and weddings and all the other bits and pieces that are now coming. But we're over in the sunny coast with her family for Christmas this year, and I was very Australian, driving to Bunnings on, I believe, possibly Boxing Day, but around about then, with her old man to pick up something because he needed another pair of hands. So, sure enough, in a ute driving to Bunnings, which was about the only time that I got with him, I asked, did he ask the question? And it was just kind of like being part of the family for so long. He was just like much the same as like, oh yeah, that sounds good. So then I was like, all right.
Did you shout him a snag at Bunnings when you got there?
Nah, but we had a few frothies after it. After we lifted this whatever we went and picked up, shelving and whatnot. So then I was like, all right, well, I've got to put some planning into this. But TK had no idea because I kept so I started planning in January, kept distracting it. A lot of people thought last year when we were in the States, it might have happened. I kept whinging about a nice hefty tax bill that I got from the government, basically crying poor that she's never going to get a ring. So that worked really well. So she was well off the scent. We flew to Germany for a wedding. So I got the ring all sorted while my mum was in Melbourne. She was the first one to see it, got it designed, picked it all up. And I'm sitting on this thing, unlike you, Kane, for about a month. I fly internationally with it. Wow. We have 2 weeks before a German wedding of one of her best friends. And, you can't do an engagement before a wedding because you take a bit of shine off. So sure enough, as we fly over there, I leave my phone in the actual plane when we arrived to Germany, which is very unlike me because I travel quite a bit for work, and a lot of people get annoyed traveling with me because I have it down to like an art, and I'm just get frustrated with anyone who's incompetent with it. So TK for about 3 days is absolutely giving it to me because I'm pissed off that I've left my phone, and we go and pick it up, and I'm sitting there thinking while she's giving it to me for these 3 days in Munich, the only reason I left my phone was because I was so goddamn worried about something else. But that got revealed a bit later. So we went to, after the wedding, we planned to spend 3-4 days in Amsterdam, which is TK's favourite place in Europe. Mine's Barcelona. So we might throw that one up as a wedding venue. But so we spent 3 days in Amsterdam. She loves the canals and the water and everything like that. And we were there 3 years ago as part of a bit of a Europe trip that we did. And we stumbled across just one night this really nice, nothing too fancy, but this really just nice, simple restaurant on the side of the canals that we had a great time, great food, great wine. And I'd contacted them ahead of the time, and I'd booked us in there. So planned to go back to a place that we were at 3 years ago, that we had the best time in her favourite city. And then we fly, we train into Amsterdam. We've got about an hour and a half before dinner, and she suggests, oh, maybe, we're ready to go. Maybe we should just go and grab a drink. And I was going to put on this suit jacket and put this ring in there and everything, but then I was like, no, that'll give it way too much away. So I put on this hoodie, put it in a pocket. I don't think my hand left that pocket for the hour and a half that we were walking through the streets, and we went to the bar and had a drink. And she even said, oh, that's a big beer. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell him, give me a small one, when I was just like, no, 100%, very happy to have a big one. Because you get nervous as all hell. So we're going along, we're walking along the canals. We're about to go to the restaurant there, and I just do a little bit of oh yeah, we're a little bit early. Maybe we'll just sort of veen off and look at the beautiful river and right near the restaurant. And then she looked at me, and I don't know what it was. Same thing as you were saying, Matt. Like, we'd spoken about it. It was all good. But I just got nervous as anything. So my breathing went deep and everything. And I was just like, oh shit, I've got to do it right now. And like, she just looked at me really weirdly. So she's clearly like clued on that something's up. So yeah, side of the canals in Amsterdam, down on one knee and popped the ring out. And that was that. And we went and had a wonderful dinner. And then she realized why I left my phone on the flight and was like, I should have clued on. I should have been aware. Because there were a number of other little things through the trip that was a bit of signs, but apparently I did very well fighting it off. So yeah, and then enjoyed ourselves for 3 days and got back on a plane back to Australia. So it was actually really nice because we had sort of 3 days overseas where we didn't post anything up on social media, and we kept it relatively quiet and just sort of took our time telling people. So yeah, we kind of got to enjoy it without it just being an influx. But now that we're back, it's a lot of questioning.
Yeah, how many times have you told this story in the last 3 odd weeks since you got back?
Oh, I don't know. But I swear it changes ever so slightly every time I tell it. So, but probably a lot, to be honest.
That's fantastic. Did you have a little bit of a crowd around you as you got down on one knee, or
well, here's
lots
the thing,
of people?
I was walking up, and there's all these tables outside because you can sit by the thing, and I forgot them because we sat inside upstairs, like overlooking the thing. So I kind of was like, and knowing that TK wouldn't have been a big fan of a big showboaty crowd thing. So I actually kind of had to step us probably 10, 15 meters before we got there. And luckily there was like all these cars parked, so you just kind of veen off between the cars, and there was a nice tree and near the water. So I snuck away from the crowd. But the other thing that was happening was I looked at the canal, and there was a boat that was about to come through, and I'm just like, oh crap. So there's this boat full of people that's like, you can see in the horizon, and I'm just like, gotta do it now. got to do it now. Otherwise, I'll be doing it with a boat full of people coming through. So yeah, snuck in before the boat as well.
Wow, and you got like you said, you got the ring and you picked the ring yourself with no real input from TK?
Yes, correct.
Ballsy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am lucky in that I do know her style quite well, and her style is very elegant. So the classic, sapphire in a nice setting, I knew would be a winner.
So she doesn't have like an infinity ring from the Avengers or?
No, no, nothing like that.
Excellent. I can understand that. Having had a chat to you, you put a lot of research into the ring and diamonds and the 3 C's of diamonds. You share some of that with the gentleman out there who may be looking to pop the question or may pop the question one day. The 3 C's, is it still the 3 C's or has that changed in the last sort of 6 or 7 years since I had to research these things?
No, it's still the 3 C's. And it's surprising how a slight tweak on one factor can result in a lot of tweak on the price factor. But yes, for anyone looking at doing it, I highly recommend putting a bit of work into it. It was like getting another degree. I've learned so much about diamonds and rings and everything, but yeah, one of the things I would recommend putting the work in, because what I found, for those, if anyone is out there looking at doing it, you can do very well by finding places where you go much more direct to the diamond, sellers and sources and those kind of things. And we're big on, like the diamond that I got is a Canadian one, which is quite rare, but it's very much, certainly not a blood diamond or anything like that, which we're pretty big on it being all certified and ticked and that it was all mined ethically. And certainly the price tag hurt as if it was, but for anyone looking at doing this, I would recommend putting some effort in and going beyond just the retailers, because you do end up finding some stunning things. And then if you do put the effort in, when you go and get it insured, because I highly recommend that you do that, especially if you're going to get on an overseas plane, you end up finding out that effort can pay off tenfold with a lot of money. And yeah, that the jewelry industry and retailers in it have some pretty big markups. That's all I'll say to the blokes out there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you mentioned there was one of the factors, one of the C's actually has a real effect on price, and that would be clarity, would it not?
Clarity is a big one, yes.
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest one.
For all you mathematicians out there, or it might just be me, that the clarity is really the power of. So, if you get a more clear diamond, then you're really doing it by a factor of 10 or something. So it's the clarity which is the killer.
Like there's some clarities that are really high on clarity, but their shine rate's like good or very good. And there's some that are, say, one level lower on clarity, but their like shine rate's excellent. And so spending the time and just going and I don't have a problem with being dumb in environments like that. So I went to a bunch of jewelers and whatnot and just act like, well, I was genuinely quite dumb on the subject. So literally just asking them questions after questions, and it certainly paid off.
It's not just the 3 C's. That's once you get past that part, it's the type of band as well, isn't it? There's all different types of designs there too.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I don't know about you fellas, but I was lucky in that the place that I went to that was a direct sort of diamond sourcer and dealer. What you did was you paid for the diamond, so you picked the diamond that you really wanted, and all your banding and everything was included, whether you wanted gold, white gold, platinum. There wasn't any real price differences or anything. You just had to pick your setting, which you got to design yourself. So again, like that's where putting that little bit of effort in, going a bit deeper, you get a bit of flexibility.
A lot of research. You've attacked that very professionally, Ryan, as you do most things in your life. Now, I think going forward, we used to do a cubby update where Matthew would update us on the cubby. We might have to start with the wedding update on how the wedding planning is going from now on. But how is the cubby going? Is it completed now?
No. Oh, it's close enough. I mean, we're having renovations at the moment over there, so I'll use that as my excuse as to why nothing's getting done. But there was a point in time where the builder was like, "Are you sure that cubby is not built on a sewerage pipe that we're going to have to, attack and dig up?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure it's not." And anyway, thankfully it wasn't. I did the dial before you dig, and the cubby is still standing. So as soon as we are back in that house, I'll finish that up and move on to the next project.
Well, maybe we'll see what happens first. Ryan's wedding, or you actually completing that cubby, which has been ongoing for a couple of years now.
I hope to God it's my cubby.
Well, gents, thank you very much for sharing your stories tonight about how you both got engaged and my poxy engagement story as well. And that wraps it up for this week on Daddy Eats Last, with a nice little bow around a nice little box which may have a ring in it. Remember to subscribe to Daddy Eats Last on iTunes if you haven't already, and while you're there, please leave a review. Tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys. Most of all, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week for another episode, or should I say serving, of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.